Alright, what's going on? I hope everyone's having a good Wednesday. We got Beastars on the plate today, episode 11. Let's get right into it. Now, episode 10 ended with the battle between Legosi and the Shishigumi boss. Now you're thinking to yourself, hey, we're just probably going to pick up where we left off. Let's start that high-octane action once again so we can get our blood pumping, but not so fast. We're going to transition from Legosi to some of Legosi's friends, and they're trying to figure out where Legosi is, and Jack is sort of reminiscing about a moment he has with Legosi because he notices that Legosi's rhino beetle has passed away. Now, in this moment where he's reminiscing, Legosi is divulging some interesting information. In particular, he's talking about can never really get close to a small creature, someone who's so fragile. He's alluding to Haru at this moment because he's so big and imposing and strong, and he doesn't really have a means to control his strength. Now, this is going to be very pivotal in the later parts of the episode, but basically this whole moment with him and Jack with the rhino beetle, he's keeping the rhino beetle as a pet, if you will, or as a companion, because he's trying to prove to himself that he can have a more gentle side, that he doesn't have to embrace this carnivorous beast within him. But then we have the juxtaposition right away from this placid moment to Legosi fighting the Shishigumi boss. So who is the real Legosi? We'll have to determine that in the future episodes. But right now, Legosi's in the fight for his life. He's running around the Shishigumi boss. He's allowing that feral instinct inside of him to just take over, and he is just going full ham on this guy. Now, I gotta say, in terms of the animation, I wasn't the biggest fan of this fight sequence. There was a few moments that felt a bit wonky to me, and the 3D animation just didn't look as polished as I would have liked it to be. I wouldn't say that the fight scene was terrible. I would just say that it looked a bit off to me. I wasn't the biggest fan. With that being said, I love the moment where Legosi ends up biting the Shishigumi boss, and he's got blood-stained teeth, and, he's got blood all around his mouth, which is staining into his fur, and, he's got a bruise on his eye, and he looks like an absolute savage at this moment, a beast, and, he's looking at Haru, and, he's telling her, you can judge me however you want at this moment. I know how bad this looks, and there's really no justification I can give you besides the fact that I'm saving your life! But, he's very cognizant of the fact that this may be an inescapable reality for him. This may be who he truly is on the inside, even though he puts on the act that he's placid, calm, and peaceful. Now, after the encounter, Haru and Legosi are escaping from the mansion, but not so fast, because the Shishigumi boss is still alive, and he pulls a gun out, and he's lining up his sight. He's ready to kill Legosi. He's pissed off as all hell, and then BANG! It happens! He gets his hand shot, and he's not able to kill Legosi. But who shot him? None other than the alpha male deer himself, Lewis. And now I'm interested to know. I read the manga chapters for this. Now, I didn't go any further than the manga chapter 44, but I'm wondering how Lewis got into the mansion and where he got this gun from. It's sort of interesting. Now, I haven't read all the manga chapters up until this point. I've just been kind of keeping up with the episodes. So maybe there's some information that's already been revealed that I'm not aware of. But how did he get into this mansion? How did he know where to go? Did he encounter Panda on the way up? And did Panda kind of lead him in the right direction? So I'll be interested to see how they sort of fill in the gaps here, or if they just kind of leave it as is. But Lewis ends up killing the Shishigumi boss. He goes full assassin on this guy, and then the scene ends with some of the Shishigumi henchmen entering the room, and Lewis just goes freaking insane at this moment. He gives off this laugh where it almost reminds me of the Joker a bit. So it kind of makes me wonder, is Lewis going slightly insane? Is there going to be a moment in the series where he just completely breaks and he loses it and he becomes a different person altogether, and the calm, and collected Lewis that we know is going to go by the wayside, and he's just going to become a shell of himself. So I'm very curious to see how Lewis's arc progresses from here. Now, after the whole ordeal at the Shishigumi mansion, Legoshi and Haru are on a park bench, and Legoshi's like, hey, I'm kind of hungry. They decide to get some food, and in the midst of eating their food, they find out that the last train has left. So they got no other choice. They got to find a hotel for the night. Now, Legoshi is a bit hesitant at first. He doesn't feel like that it's right for him and Haru to get a hotel room together, especially by the fact that when they're there, a couple walks past them and kind of gives them a weird look, but nonetheless, they do get the hotel room. Now, when they're in the hotel room, the whole encounter is very awkward, and I absolutely love this scene. So many times in movies and series, after like the big climactic battle, you know, the male lead and the female lead will just end up having sex, or they'll have a passionate encounter with each other, and, you know, Hollywood waves their wand and says, look, now they're in love. Just accept it. But that's not always the case with real life. And I love how when Legoshi goes in for a kiss, it doesn't go quite right. He isn't able to execute it, and he's just so unsure of himself. You can see him sweating a bit. His facial expression kind of gives off the vibe that, like, what should I do next? Like, I'm not really sure. Is she gonna kind of give me a hint? Or should I take the lead? He's not really sure, and it's such a realistic scene, and Haru's kind of giving off that phony laugh where she's trying to ease some of the pressure for him, but probably more importantly for herself, not because of the whole experience that may be happening, but because, you know, she's also an herbivore, let's not forget, and he's a large carnivore. But then the scene gets to a very pivotal moment where Legoshi reveals some very interesting information to Haru, and he tells her about the encounter in the very first episode where he was the carnivore that nearly ate her. And they assume the same pose that they were in the first episode, with Legoshi grabbing Haru from the backside and completely dominating her, and with her in a position that she can't really do anything whatsoever. And I love the shot here where they have Legoshi and Haru holding each other like this in the hotel room, but then they're also juxtaposing that with the scene in the first episode and how uncomfortable that the two are feeling by the situation. So really great stuff. Now, after they have this visceral moment together, Haru basically gives Legoshi a choice. She gives him an ultimatum. She's like, look, at this moment, Legoshi, you're the large carnivore, you're the man, you have the choice. If you want to have sex with me, you can do that. Or if you want to eat me, you can do that as well. I leave it to you. I don't have the power to stop you, whatever you choose. So that's how it's going to be. Now, when Haru says this, Legoshi looks very distraught and devastated. And he's like, don't say that, Haru. But she gives off that faux laugh where she's trying to ease the situation again. Now, Legoshi decides that, okay, let's try to engage in this tender encounter. Let's see if we can kiss each other and have intercourse with each other. And he starts to begin the process. You know, he's starting to cop a feel. You know, it's so interesting because his hands are so damn huge. He can encapsulate both of her breasts with one hand at the same time. And when she's laying down and he's on top of her, it just looks like he's gonna break her or just, you know, claw her to pieces with one wrong move. It's, you know, I'm starting to feel scared for Haru at this point. And then without a moment's notice, Haru has a sudden reaction where her arm goes into Legoshi's open mouth. And, you know, it's like, what the hell is going on? And then the episode ends and we're like, oh shit, damn it, we gotta wait another week for the conclusion. But I guess that's why I'm reading the manga now. So anyway, I gotta say, another great episode. The tender, awkward encounter between Legoshi and Haru in the second part of the episode was so uncomfortable and awkward that it was almost a bit distressing for me to watch it at times. Like, I felt secondhand embarrassed for Legoshi. So, such a well-executed scene. The fight between Legoshi and the Shishigumi boss was a bit off to me. I I felt like it wasn't as well executed animation-wise that it could have been. The pacing kind of felt a little bit off to me too. I felt like maybe it was a little bit too rushed. That being said, it wasn't bad in any sense, and I don't feel like it diminished the overall episode as a whole, so I wouldn't say that it was bad. It was just kind of a little bit off. But yeah, overall a great episode, guys. I'll try to release the manga chapters for episode 12 sometime by Friday, I'm hoping. Maybe Saturday if I get caught up doing something else. Now, for the manga readers out there, we didn't get the full conclusion of chapter 44, so I'm kind of wondering how that will be adapted into the anime. Will we get the conclusion of that and then 4 more chapters, or are we going to fall back a chapter for next week? We'll just have to see how that all resolves itself. But I think I've said enough for this episode, guys. Another good one in the books, and man, we're getting close to concluding the first season of Beastars. Now, if anyone in the comments could let me know, are we getting 12 episodes for Beastars, or are we getting 13? Is next week going to be the conclusion, or do we still have 2 more to go? Let me know in the comments if you could, and if you guys want to subscribe to my channel as well, that would be fantastic. But I'll catch you guys on the flip side.